There's an early candidate for Racing Shoe of the Year, the Puma FAST-R Nitro Elite 3. Now some say it's the fastest running sneaker in the world, and I've spent the last little while trying to figure that out. Here's our full review. So let's back it up for 1 second. In April, we covered the Boston Marathon, and in the days leading up to the race, a rumor spread across the city. One brand was launching what was going to be the best new super shoe in the world. A shoe so good that it would chop your marathon time down by 3%, no matter how fast you are. That's literal minutes. And the brand behind it wasn't Nike, it wasn't Adidas, it was Puma, a company whose best claim to fame is still Usain Bolt. I had to see it to believe it. So in Boston, I went straight to the Puma pop-up store to check it out. And there they were. Dozens of white and orange super shoes propped up on the wall. I took one in my hands. It weighed next to nothing.
Okay, I'm about to touch the Nitro Elite 3 for the first time. Okay, we're light, very light.
Then I spoke to Rory Linkletter, one of Puma's top athletes, and he told me that the FAST-R Nitro Elite 3 was the fastest road shoe he'd ever worn. And he had the workout receipts to prove it.
And I came through the half marathon actually in that workout in 62:30 or something. It's been a good training block, it's been a lot of things, but FAST-R 3 is obviously a big component of seeing the splits come a little easier.
This is the best your hair has looked, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Rory then went on to break his marathon personal best by almost a minute, which is super tough to do in Boston. And as for me, I was sold. I needed a pair of those shoes. I got my hands on them shortly after that weekend and started wearing them to find out what makes them so special. So let's break it down. So this is pretty revolutionary stuff here by Puma, because the previous version of this shoe, so the FAST-R Nitro Elite 2, weighed 9.3 ounces. So with this release, they've almost slashed the weight in half. Now, this shoe's about the same weight as a Nike Vaporfly 4. And here's how they got there. They made the midsole foam a little bit lighter, and then the Ultra Weave upper is super thin, same thing for the tongue. And then the bottom is aggressively cut out. So there's a huge gap in the middle of the bottom, and then there's no big winged heel like some other super shoes have. In fact, this shoe barely has any heel at all. And then Puma did something that I think is a little bit rare still. They were super thoughtful in the design of the carbon plate. So the plate itself has 7 layers and is curved specifically for propulsion. And then the main thing here is that the plate actually passes the shoe by a few millimeters, just to give you a little bit of extra oomph on the toe off. This I've never seen in another running shoe. So compared to a big chunky Alphafly, the FAST-R Nitro Elite 3 feels like a delicate little slipper. But I still wondered, is this shoe as good as Puma claims? Their own lab research showed that this shoe, compared to the previous version, would help you drop your marathon time by 3.15%. Now, let's say that another way. If you're a 3-hour marathoner, that means you could cut 4.5 minutes off of your time. That is huge. That could be the difference between qualifying for Boston and not. I don't remember a company making this bold a claim since Nike released the first version of the Vaporfly in 2017. Back then, they said that it would chop your time by 4%, and that was by comparing the Vaporfly to just regular old sneakers. In this day and age, with the shoe technology that already exists, dropping 3% off your time would be massive. Now I just had to know how fast these shoes were, so I wore them for a handful of runs right away, including a key one. So every time I have a goal race, I do this prove it workout 10 days beforehand, which is highly specific to the distance I'm running. So this time around, my goal race is the Canadian 10K Road Championships. So my workout was 10 times 1 kilometer. I thought it's the perfect opportunity to try these shoes because I've done this workout a whole lot, it'll be easy to compare. So I lace these guys up, get out the door, and start running faster than I ever have for a warm-up. Now, I've been in this game long enough to know that there is no point in running your warm-up super quickly, but I can't help it. I'm going 20, 30 seconds faster than regular warm-up pace, to the point where I have to stop, compose myself, do a few drills, and try to lock into workout pace, which at this point for me is 2:58 per kilometer, 10K pace. I start my first rep, 2:47. This is gonna hurt. I composed myself a little bit and then finished the workout with an average of 2:55 per kilometer, which is faster than I've ever done this workout. The shoes feel like a track spike. I was on my toes for much of the time, including during warm-up, because I don't think I could have really planted my heel into the ground even if I tried. The turnover is also remarkably better than other super shoes because you feel the weight difference. Now, I've been droning on in many videos about the apparent sacrifice that companies need to make when making a super shoe. Either they make it big, bulky, and powerful, but then it's heavy, or they pare it down and make it really light, but then it lacks power. Not many companies have really struck a middle ground. There have been a few. I'd say the Asics Metaspeed Sky Paris is in that middle ground, and also the Adidas Pro Evo, if you can find it, is same thing, powerful and also light. But I would wholeheartedly add the FAST-R Nitro Elite 3 to that list. It's small, it's lightweight, but it doesn't lack power. I felt as propulsive with this shoe as I do while wearing the Nike Alphafly 3. So let's rate this shoe, starting as always with design. We were very generous here because it's not just that it's a small and light shoe, it's a very innovative shoe. Like I mentioned before, I haven't seen a company get this creative with the carbon plate. And then also the top is super thoughtful, the bottom is super thoughtful to cut as much weight as it can. I'm just really impressed by the whole look of it. So I'm giving it a 9.2. Next up is performance. So currently, I don't think there's a shoe out there that clearly beats the FAST-R Nitro Elite 3. I think in a few months we'll have a better idea of which shoes out there might rival it. In fact, we'll have our own super shoe power ranking on our channels. But for now, I am pretty confident in wearing this at a race and feeling like I have the best shoe on the starting line. So it gets a 9.1. It's also decently comfortable. There's no big pronation or supination inside of it. It's a strong shoe, keeps your foot upright. The one little knock is that it fits tightly, again, kind of like a track spike. And so if you have a wide foot, or if you have a stride that tends to make your toes pop on the top, you might not like it. This shoe might give you black toe syndrome, but other than that, it's comfy on the feet. So 7.5. And finally, value. So I struggled with this because on one hand, how do you value speed? Should you value it over everything? It's a super shoe after all. But on the other hand, this is a pretty expensive shoe. And I do have questions about its durability. So after just a few runs, the outsole seems to erode on me a little bit. And so I'm curious to see if this lasts more than roughly 200, 300 kilometers. More on that later when we beat the shoe down a little bit. But for now, our value stands at 7.3. And that puts our overall rating of the Puma FAST-R Nitro Elite 3 to 8.3. So is this shoe worth the buy? I think if you value speed more than anything in a super shoe, and you don't mind a bit of a tight fit, and like to feel the ground under you, and also especially if you don't like big bulky super shoes, this is totally worth the investment. But meanwhile, if you value other things in a super shoe, like cushioning for example, you might want to look elsewhere. My last knock on this shoe is that after hard workouts, my legs are a little bit mangled. You can tell that it's not as cushy as its competitors, especially on the next day. But all that being said, I would recommend this shoe for anything 5K upwards. And if anything, the 5K, 10K may be where the FAST-R Nitro Elite 3 shines the most. And on that note, I'm about to do something that I don't do very often. So as a shoe reviewer, I get to try out a lot of different shoes, and it's very rare that one of them just quickly becomes my racing shoe of choice. But I've been convinced here, and I want to wear the FAST-R Nitro Elite 3 for my next race, which means I must dethrone my current racing shoe of choice, the Adidas Adios Pro 4, from its pedestal on the wall, and now give it to my new victor. And it will stay there until I'm convinced that something better is out there, and until I get to try it. So that's been the video. If you think there's a shoe out there that's better than the Nitro, please let us know. I'd be very curious to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed the video, please feel free to share it with someone else who might feel the same. Our goal is to connect with as many runners like you as we can. So thanks for watching, and happy running.